Hey everybody, it's your girl Charlotte Van Horn with Black Expats in Panama. How you doing? Me and Zyvonne was just clowning on that, and I just want to say hello. I actually bring you greetings from our Virginia location today, and Zyvonne Adams is actually in the States as well. But I wanted to hop on here and speak to Zyvonne Adams because I think, Zyvonne, we were connected when you were interested in coming onto the Zoom. And I was like, well, where do you live? And you said Bugaba. I said, Boo what? And you said Bugaba. I had never ever heard of Bugaba and Bugaba, Panama. And I mean, Bugaba just sounds like something to me that would be in Dubai. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And so I was like, well, we got to talk about Bugaba. So I definitely wanted you to come on and talk to us about Bugaba so that people know that it is another option. Panama just has so many options. It's just amazing. And so I just, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Zyvonne. Currently living in but I am now a permanent resident of Panama and bought a property there 3 years ago in Bugaba, or right outside Bugaba. And my partner, James, and I are doing some rehab, some renovation of the property so that we can, sooner than later, live there on a permanent basis and run a business from the property. So that's the goal, ultimately.
And where are you from?
I was born in Missouri, but as an Army brat, I've lived all over the United States, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, you name. There's only about 10 states that I haven't been to in the United States. So I've been everywhere.
So that's interesting. So is there any place that you really identify with as home or no?
I would say wherever I'm currently located is where home is. Mm-hmm. Home right now has been Maryland for 13 years. Okay. But before that, I lived in Indiana. And before that, I lived in Connecticut. So, it just kind of depends on where I land. So it's okay.
Yeah, it is. It is really okay. And my daughter is pretty much, an Army brat too. And I always wondered how she identified. And I said, how do you identify? Where are you from? Mm-hmm. And she says that she would say that, well, Mom, I used to say that I was from New Jersey because that's where she was born. But then inevitably, when she says she's from New Jersey, they start asking her stuff about New Jersey, which she knows nothing. So she eventually adopted Virginia as her home, which was where we were during her most informative years. So that's awesome. So tell me, coming from Maryland and coming from that background, how, number one, did you choose Panama, and number two, how did you choose Bugaba? And hold on 1 second. Cheers to you. Cheers to you, Zyvonne. Zyvonne and I are having a wine women in Panama discussion tonight. So there you have it. So tell us how you ended up in Panama and Bugaba of all places.
Well, we ended up in Panama. We had gone to a couple of other countries to look at property. James and I both wanted to live outside the United States. I've always known that I would eventually live outside the United States. We went to Ecuador, and that was a very interesting adventure. We went to Tennessee. That was an interesting adventure. But we had read a lot about Panama as one of the top expat locations. And so we said, well, let's go check out Panama. And we went to Panama a couple of times to sort of see different parts of the country. So that's kind of how we ended up in Panama. It checked off a lot of our boxes that we needed to live outside the United States.
Okay, so what parts of Panama did you visit?
Well, James actually went to Coronado. I didn't go with him to Coronado, but he went to Coronado. We went to David, we were in Panama City, we went to Boquete, And we were just looking at properties. When we went to Bocas, we found a property that we really, really liked. But the deal kind of fell through. The seller didn't really want to work with us, and we couldn't agree on a price. So that kind of fell through, which is probably a good thing, because now that I think about Bocas, it's a little bit more of a tourist location than I want to be part of. It's very transitional. I just wanted something a lot more stable. We wanted land that was titled. Yes. And the property we were looking at was only ROP, and I was just not comfortable, spending thousands of dollars on an ROP property in Panama. So I said, we're going to find someplace that's titled.
Tell us what ROP means.
So in Panama, ROP is right of possession, which means that you can purchase the property, sort of. So you purchase the property, but individuals that think that they have a right to the property can come in and say, no, this is my family's property, and it can be taken right from under you, or you have to spend a lot of money to get it titled. We found mostly in Panama that ROP property is on the coastal borders, and not so much in the interior of the country.
Okay.
Right? And that makes sense. That makes sense to us. So titled was where I was more comfortable, particularly with my background in regulatory compliance. I like to make sure things are right and no surprises. So that's where we went.
So when you look at land, I don't have a lot of experience with looking at just land in Panama. It is identified upfront, ROP or titled.
Yes. So when you get a real estate agent, that for me would be the first question to ask: is this titled property or is it ROP? And they will tell you, right? When you go to purchase, it is also going to tell you if it's titled or right of possession property. So up front what you're getting. Some people think that ROP is not a problem, but for me, it's just too much of a risk for too much money. So we decided to use better.
In the United States, we have title insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Is there such a thing in Panama? Do you know?
I don't want to say there isn't, but I haven't had experience with title search in Panama.
Okay.
Property in Panama, you don't have a MLS or major listing service, right?
Yeah.
So anyone can pretty much sell anything in Panama. You might see a property online, the same property, and it may be $100,000 on one website, and it might be $150,000 on another website, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no requirement for it to be the same price depending on who sells it, which is very different than the United States.
Yeah.
In the U.S., you sell a house for $400,000. Whatever real estate agent is selling it for $400,000.
That's the listing price.
You don't have that in Panama. What we learned in Panama is that the sellers can go to a real estate agent and say, well, I want such and such amount of money for my property. And then the real estate agent can sell it for more and get the difference. Does that make sense?
So if I said you're saying that if a seller can say, I want $200,000 for my property, and the realtor can list it at $250 and give the seller $200?
Yes.
Whoa.
So you have to be really, really careful when you're looking at property and know who you're dealing with. We actually bought our property directly from the seller. We had a real estate agent find it for us, but we bought it from the seller.
That is so interesting. Yes, you do. You do. My cousin.
Situation in Costa Rica. That's the same situation in Costa Rica. So you have to know that that's how they do business, right? It's not illegal, right? Yes. But you just have to know who you're dealing with and what you're buying.
It's different. And I just made a post today, and I was like, don't cut corners on professional legal. And I was talking in particular about moving from the States and the tax, consequences and things. don't cut corners on legal advice, professional legal and tax advice. And in this case, I would not do anything in Panama without hiring a professional. Sorry.
Right.
And it's mainly because it is not the US. And my cousin in Panama, he said, Cheyenne, he says, everything you know about the United States, forget about it. This is Panama. And I feel like that was the best advice for him to give me. So when you come from a US state of mind, you would have never thought that a realtor could legally sell your property for $50,000 more than you asked for and take that 50 for him or herself. I would have never thought that.
I understand. And you can have the same property. So in the US, normally when you list a property, you have a contract with that real estate agent, right? And that person has exclusivity with that contract. In Panama, you can have your property sold or offered by multiple different real estate agents. That's why sometimes when you go on websites and see a property, it can have multiple different prices. And that is why. It could be the same property, but there could be a big divide between what one real estate agent is offering and what someone else is offering and what the seller is offering. So it's good to know who the seller is.
That is amazing. So, okay, so maybe it's just me. I had never up until this point, and you know, I mean, I'm pretty active with, you know, expat chatter. I'd never heard Bugaba. So how did you learn about Bugaba?
Well, James flew in the country to look at properties because we can't always travel together at the same time.
Yes.
So in 2017, he was able to come to Panama and do some looking around, looking at properties. And he just happened to come across, I'm not sure if someone sent you the listing.
Yeah, I found it on
Casa Solutions?
Yeah, Casa.
So he saw the listing on Casa Solutions, which is kind of a popular real estate agency within David, Boquete. They do a lot of business. And they called him up and said, well, I want to see it. So he went to see it. And it checked all of our boxes, right? We wanted land. We definitely wanted land. There was already a house on the property. And it needed to have a source of water already on the property because, as you know, with climate change, water is going to be a big deal down the road. Even in Panama, where they get 100 inches of rain a year, it's still gonna affect Panama eventually. So we wanted someplace that already had all that. And our property had a river on one side, it had a pond already on the property. Plenty of acreage for us to do whatever we felt like doing. The seller was an American. So it helped that there wasn't any miscommunication because of language, what they were expecting, what we wanted, what he was trying to do. And those were all really good factors. So he saw it, he loved it. He called and he said, Z, because that's what he calls me. He said, I found this property and I want to put a deposit on it. What do you think? And I said, well, he says, what if I put a deposit on it and you say no, then I'm going to lose my deposit. So what do you think? I said, go ahead and do it.
So did he show you pictures or did he like walk around with an iPhone?
He just described it. He just described the property. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. So he put the deposit down and I think a month later, I came back to Panama to see the property and I got out of the car and I looked at the property and I'm like, yeah, this is it. We're good.
Awesome.
And that's, I didn't know anything about Bugaba. You know, I knew it was about 35 minutes from David Airport. I knew it was maybe 45 minutes from Boquete, but that's kind of all I knew about Bugaba. That's all I knew, right?
So it's cooler there. It's cooler.
As you know, Panama has microclimates.
Okay.
So I would say where my property is maybe 10 to 15 degrees warmer than Boquete. So Boquete is around 70, 75. I'm more about 80, 82.
Okay.
But I've got 20 acres and I'm a summer girl, so that didn't faze me at all.
Yeah,
So
I love the heat. Give me the heat. I don't think that I would like Boquete for different reasons, but I'm opening my mind. I'm going to go visit this year. But the climate is definitely something that I'm not interested. I love the heat in Panama. And even being here in Virginia right now, it's been oppressively hot. And I just find, when I walked out of the salon, I was like, oh my God, it is so hot. It's very seldom do I feel that way in Panama. I mean, it's hot, but it just feels different. Like here was just like, you just walked out into a wall of heat, So that's interesting. Now, let me ask you something, because I'm just not that educated about some things. And when you said, because I know water is a concern, and even, though I am not particularly fond of rainy season, I thank God for it. Okay. Everything over here on this side of the world is burning or flooding. Okay. And so I'm glad to see that Panama is still doing ecologically what it has been doing historically, right? But tell me, so you said you have a pond on one side and a river, did you say, on the other?
We on the edge of our property, there is I don't know the name of the river, but it's a huge river on one side of the property. So the property has different elevations. So where we'll have the house, it's going to be at the highest elevation, but you can go down, it's not really a mountain, but you have to go down a little bit, and then there's the river. So, and we have access to it. So it's fabulous. And if you go down to the river, it's about 15 degrees cooler than it is at the top of the property. So like I said, microclimates, which is
that's
great.
Significant.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
So how does the river directly impact your water source?
It does not, but it is a water source for us. So it appears that whoever owned the property before, maybe 50 years ago, dug a pond, right? So when we bought the property, the pond was full of water, but it was the rainy season, right? Right, we got water, we got a source of water, fabulous. When we went back during the dry season, the pond was dry, dirt dry.
Very good information. Okay.
So that means that it doesn't have enough clay content to hold the water, because the water is fed from a couple of small streams that go into the pond. So I think 2 years ago, we had the pond dug another 20 feet deep. It has not gone dry since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Now, one of the other things that you told me that as many people as I've talked to have never talked to me about this is the situation with areas like this with toilet tissue. Tell me about that.
Well, in the smaller communities of Panama, the septic system cannot handle a lot of paper. It just cannot. And our property has a septic system. The town has a septic system, that they're going through. They just cannot handle paper. So toilet paper is not to be put in the toilet. And everywhere you go, this includes Boquete.
Boquete, you said Boquete? Now, I was watching some reality show and they were in Bocas. I did not realize that Bocas del Toro is the same thing. Yeah.
Everywhere I've been, except for Panama City, it's that way.
Yes.
Everywhere I've been. But it's because your infrastructure just isn't set up for paper. It's just not, right? It's just not. So it's just something you gotta go, oh, okay.
Okay. So now,
if you go to the David Airport, they also have little
receptacles.
in the stall for that in the DeVite airport. So
for number one and number two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not ready, Zyvonne. I'm not ready. I am not ready for that. I did not know that.
Yeah, because the first time we went to more so the Bocas del Toro area, because that's where we were looking for property. And that's when I was first introduced to this issue, was in Bocas.
I have seen people ask online, well, what's it like? Some people have asked in different ways. They think that we poop in the ground in Panama. And I'm like, what? I was like, I don't know. I've never gone to anything but a regular toilet in Panama. Yeah. So that is good to know because, you know, I think that sometimes when we move to these places, we get this information and it's just second nature. But for somebody who knows nothing about, you know, Panama or these different places, it could be a big deal. I mean, it could be a game changer. It's just like, you know, I'm not ready for that, or something that you need to condition yourself mentally.
Well, I was originally introduced to it in Ecuador.
Really?
That's where, yeah, in Ecuador it's that way as well. So that's where I first saw it, was in that country.
Wow. I was trying to think of a quote that I couldn't remember. Okay, so now Bugaba. So Bugaba is very green. It's mountainous?
Bugaba is off of the Panamanian Highway, so you can get there from the Panamanian Highway. It's just a little town. It's not, for me, it's not that green. It just looks like it's just a little town, right? But, you know, it has two big grocery stores. It has Romero's and Extra. It has the equivalent to like a Sam's Club that's kind of not too far away. They've got internet. You can get a cell phone there. There's hair salons there. It's just a little sleepy,
really?
Panamanian town. But in Bugaba, you need to have Spanish. There are a few people that speak English, and there are a few expats there, but you need to be able to have the basics of Spanish just going in, because, you know, and most banks don't speak any English.
So how are the streets?
The streets they need some urban renewal on the streets, right? But they have been improving it over the last 2 years. I've been there 2 times this year, and they're repaving streets. They're actually, and I couldn't believe this when I saw it, they're actually improving the sidewalks so that they're normal sidewalks.
So
like level and everything. So
what is your closest neighbor?
Well, I have a neighbor directly across the street from me. You know, where I live is sort of a winding road. One of my neighbors that James met actually at the airport coming home, her name is Miss Priscilla. She's been invaluable to us. She's maybe 5 minutes from our property. So, and she speaks a lot of English, so that helps. But I think I'll get to know the neighbors more when I'm there on a full-time basis and more often. I'm in and out, and because the house that's there is not for me livable, I'm not really living on the property, but we're doing a lot of the construction work. So they see us come and go, and they stop by and say hi, and you know, that kind of thing. Ask for work, you know, that's kind of a thing in that area. So a lot of people that live around you, are they expats or are they Panamanians or? Panamanians. I've probably seen in my area 20 expats. Now, recently there's been expats that have come in and have bought property that's not too far from ours. So, and they're building a house. They don't even have water on the property, right? They got to get electricity. They're starting from scratch, but they're very nice. They're from Florida, a young couple. she's pregnant. She's decided that she's not going back to the States to have her baby. She wants to have her baby in Panama. So it's a Panamanian citizen. So they're all in. So I'm seeing a lot more activity in expats coming to that area. And I think it's a lot because Panama City is getting expensive. Boquete is getting expensive. So a lot of people are moving out to closer to David and that kind of an area. And we're seeing a lot more industry come into the area, right? So a lighting store, which I didn't expect to see in Bugaba, you know.
Lumi Central?
No, that's not it. A new tile store has come in to David, like with really nice tiles, right? They've got David and they've got, you know, Franklin and those places, but I can tell that more money is coming into the area because more businesses are coming into the area, which is a good thing. Which will draw more expats.
Which what?
Which will draw more expats.
Yes.
You know.
I just think that even interviews like this, you know, for expats like me who have never heard of Bugaba, because the other thing that you told me about Bugaba, how far is it from the Costa Rica border?
My property is 20 minutes from the Costa Rican border.
Wow. And how do you see that as an advantage?
Well, part of the business plan for the property is to build some casitas, at least 2 to start, and offer those as a location for expats coming from Costa Rica, because expats have to leave Costa Rica, I think, every 90 days at this point until they get their residency. Come over the border, we can pick them up at the border, they can stay at our place for a few days, drop them off at the border. We're good. We're close enough to the airport, people come in. Right now, when I'm in country, we have a friend who's a Canadian whose property is 20 minutes from mine, but he does Airbnb, and that's where I stay. Like I work remote, he has internet, everything. So I stay at his property and I can go back and forth to mine whenever I need to.
Oh, that's right, because yours is still under remodel.
Right.
Yours is still under renovation.
Right.
Okay, so you want to build a couple of casitas, you call it, and casitas, and do that. How is your Spanish?
Mi español poco y poco, señora.
Tú también. Yes, or is it tú? Mi también. Yeah, me también. You know, me also. I am working on it, and it is important, huh?
Practice every night. I have an app on my phone. I practice every night. When I'm in Panama, I bring my Fire Stick so I can watch U.S. shows in Spanish with English subtitles, so I can sort of get it.
Yes.
But when I'm in Panama, you know, you hear it all around you, so it's easier to pick up. I can understand a lot more than people. In Bugaba, my name is Mujer Chocolata Alta.
Mujer, the chocolate woman?
Yes, because I'm the only Black American female that they've seen in Bugaba. So I have my own little name in town.
Wow. So have you delved into the history of Bugaba at all?
That's on my to-do list. I have not. But
okay. I'm wondering where it got that name.
I don't know.
What does it even mean?
I have no idea. They used to have a train that went through town. I'm not sure, but it's just a very sleepy kind of, you know, Panamanian town. Yeah, it's good. It's very different from the city that I'm used to. So it'll be an adjustment, but I'm excited about it.
Well, and you also can get to David very quickly.
Yes, David is 35 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
David is in one direction and Boquete is in another direction, but they're kind of the same amount of distance, right? So, and I've spent a lot of time in David. You know, I know way more about the Do It Center and Coaches than I'd like to know because of the construction and buying supplies and yeah, it's a lot. Learning that that your credit card one of the most interesting things I learned is that there's a few stores where they're construction stores, but they limit how much you can put on your credit card, and they don't tell you. They don't tell you. So I went to go buy my roofing material, and my credit card kept getting refused. And I'm like, there's no balance. I've had this car for years. What's the problem? 2 hours later, they finally figure out, oh, you've exceeded the maximum amount that you can charge in one day.
Wow.
I'm like, didn't somebody tell me this sooner?
Yes. You mean,
right?
did y'all just get the memo?
Right. So those are those little things that happen, but we get through it and it's fine. Now I know what the limit is. I'm like, okay, not a problem.
Okay. And you and you seem like just the kind of person that is, not going to Panama with a rigid mentality, and that you're like, okay, I'm in a new place and I'm learning new things.
Yeah, and I think upbringing as an Army brat helps with that, because and I have a big family, lots of brothers and sisters, so you have to sort of adjust to the situation. You just have to adjust, right? You're in somebody else's country. You can't expect them to do things the American way. It's their way, so you just have to learn it, right? So it's been good.
I'm trying to think of Deborah Valerie. She's over a group called 60 plus Black women expats. Ooh. And I'm trying to think, she's in Mexico right now and she's by herself. And, she's experienced a few things that she wasn't quite prepared for, but she said something and I'm trying to think of it. I think that she said, come with a spirit of acceptance, as opposed to expecting. Right. Come with a spirit of accepting as opposed to expecting. And that resonated with me, because it's really, really helped me to be able to adjust to some differences in Panama. And there's some differences in Panama that I like. I like the fact that they want your blood type for your license.
That's when I go back. That's my next thing, is to get my license when I go back.
Yes.
Probably this fall. Yeah, it's understanding that you're living a life of intentional inconvenience and the adventures that will bring.
Yes.
Because when I learned shut off our water every other day on that property, I was like, oh, okay. Nobody told me that, but okay.
But what makes it so great is that you can tell others.
Yeah.
You can tell others. Like, I love telling people, do not expect light fixtures in your brand new home in Panama, because more than likely they are not going to be there. Nobody told me that. And I was like blown away. So when we first closed on our house, I went in and we didn't have any furniture or anything. We weren't ready to furnish it. But even if we wanted for nostalgia to stay in our house the first night, it wasn't happening, because there wasn't a light in a socket. Not at all. And I just didn't know that. And those are just things that we need to expect. Because the first thing that we needed to do, where I thought, we can buy some furniture and we can do this and that. No, we got to put lights in the house. And so, I didn't understand, or I didn't realize that air conditioning units did not come, with the house. You have to buy your own hot water heater, or hot water, what's the other thing that not the big thing, what's it called?
I know what you're talking about, the automatic hot water, the tankless water heater.
Yes, tankless. Yeah. So I didn't know all that. So I really like being able to tell folk that this is something that you can expect to happen that you really weren't expecting to happen. So tell me this, when you went to Panama and you visited Panama City, what did you think of the city?
like the city. I'm a city girl. I understand how cities work. They're noisy. They're a little bit. There's a little bit of pollution there. Life is more expensive.
That's how the city works.
That's just how it works. And I enjoy it. I like, going to the rooftop bars and the this and the that and, the shopping and the mall and all that. But in reality, I can get all that here. I can get all that. And what's the point in just changing your zip code to do the same things you're doing? Our goal is to, have a more purposeful life journey and kind of live outside our box because, as I tell James, you're not put on this earth to, work, pay bills and die. You're here to enjoy things and affect other people. And I want my children to appreciate and be that as adventurous with their lives as well. And not just think it's about, earning that paycheck and, becoming the CEO and all of that's fine and good. But as we all know, you die today and your job is online posted as an opening next week.
Listen, they probably already got somebody in-house to fill it, and I think that's very important. And I think that for us, living in different countries is so significant. I hope that you and James can make it to our first official residency celebration, which is going to be in January. And I think that it's so important to do it because we want to pass on that legacy, and when I celebrated getting my provisional ID a couple of years ago, and it was right before COVID, so I missed the whole year. But I think that the thing that I was celebrating was that we're doing this. Yeah. And I think that when you think about it and then you make a step towards it, like I was talking to Anthony Taylor and he was like, and then one door opened and then another door opened. And then he said, and then I found you. And next thing you know, he's living in Panama. And to know that we can do that when so many of us, our ancestors couldn't cross the street. So it's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal. And I think that it's something that we need to make sure that our children and our children's children understand that we have options and that there's more than one way to live your life. Like you said, the CEO route, is great, but there is more to life as well. And so what do you think about what I just said?
I totally, particularly for women and particularly for Black women, in the United States, statistically, we are the least valued citizen in the United States. That's statistically, that's with crime, that's with healthcare, that's with employment, that's with housing. For Black women, we're the least valued. We get paid less than white women, statistically.
They get paid less than white men.
We get less support through the healthcare. There are just so many other things. And we need to understand that the United States is not the only option. It's a good option, right? I'm not saying that I don't love my country. I do. I'm a military family, so I do love my country. But there's other options out there. I've raised my daughter to be very independent. She's traveled to Europe. She's traveled. She knows the world is more than just the United States. My son knows that the world is more than just the United States. And I just want to be an example for other people, because I think when you get an opportunity to climb up that ladder, you always reach back behind you and pull someone behind you. Amen. And sometimes you do that by example. So that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And I think that, I don't know about you, but for me, life just feels different in Panama. What do you think? Okay.
Sorry, my girl just showed up.
Oh, okay.
Come over here, Natasha, I want to interview. I want to interview. So this is my girl, Natasha.
Hello. Hey, Natasha. Hey, girl.
I can get references. We give a rapper. You need references. No, this is for Black Expats in Panama. Oh, really? So she's all about my story. She coming to my place when it's done.
Natasha been to Panama?
I have not been to Panama.
Girl, you got to come, girl. That's what my daughter said. She said, girl, you got to come.
Girl,
Yes.
Are you
Zyvonne has found, huh?
Are you there now?
I am actually in the United States right now, but I do have a home in Panama. See? Okay. Yes, baby, we moving and shaking. So, Zyvonne, when you come and you bring, what's your name? Natasha, we have to get together.
Oh, yes, we do. Oh, CC. Yes, we do.
CC, senora. Hey, Natasha, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna wrap up quickly so you and Natasha, you can enjoy your girl, because I know what that's like. My best friend just retired. She's in North Carolina, and I am so totally excited because I have a room for her at my house, and she can come to Panama anytime and stay as long as she likes. And I'm so excited about, that aspect. I don't know if have you brought any friends or family to your location yet?
I've a friend that I've known for 25 years. He's thinking of investing in the property. We'll see. I tend to think that people will come when you build it. So, they want to see you succeed before they're willing to put their dollars in, and that's fine. I recently brought my daughter to Panama. She's like, oh, Mom, I have to be here every summer. She's working on her PhD right now, so she doesn't have a lot of. She really liked it a lot. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so she liked it a lot.
So
it's good.
So tell me about the critter factor in Bugaba.
Mostly what I see in Bugaba are what do they call?
Geckos.
No, mostly I see
geckos?
No, the walking around.
Walking around?
Yeah.
Latinos?
No, the animals.
Oh, the animals? Not the Gila monster. What are they? There's some friggin' lizard.
It's a lizard. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it the one that walks on water?
I don't know.
The one with the long tail?
Yeah. The one that's the tail regenerates. Yeah, that one.
How big?
But I've seen them as big as 6 feet, at least.
As big as what?
Yeah, 6 feet. Yeah.
That's an alligator.
No. No, they walk on land. They walk on land. What's the name of that? Iguanas. Yeah. We have lots of iguanas. Wow, 6 feet? Oh yeah, easy.
Come on, Lord have mercy.
But they are vegetarians. They're very quiet. They just, they're fine. They don't bother me. We've got some poisonous frogs.
What color are they?
They're usually brown or green, and they're very big. They're probably more like toads, but they can be very poisonous to your animals, to your dogs. So you have to be careful about that. On the property, I've seen snakes that are, 10 feet long, big snakes. Marsupials,
What's a marsupial?
A marsupial is like a possum.
Yeah, so you start off.
Possum-like critters.
Okay.
But for the most part, they're afraid of humans, so they're not going to get that close to you. They see you and they're just going to run away. So, and on a farm where these kind of critters, you dress appropriately. So I have my Timberlands and my jeans. And,
yes.
I'm walking around, in flip-flops and a tank top and shorts. I'm dressed appropriately for a farm. or farm. If I'm in the city, then I'm all wear a little summer dress and that kind of thing. But it doesn't bother me. So iguanas, everybody sees the scorpions. They're there. You just have to be careful. But
well,
it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're okay with that. Please pray my strength in the Lord. Okay, because it is like the thing that makes me, if it was one thing that they said, what is the one thing that makes you not love Panama or takes away from your enjoyment and happiness in Panama? It is definitely the geckos. And to tell you the truth, I ain't trying to fool with no 6-foot iguanas, understand, okay? However, they laugh at me because I am better seeing an iguana than I am a lizard. I've seen, and I think it's because if an iguana is in my house, I'm finna know, okay? I'm gonna know he's there. Whereas these geckos are so small, they come into the tiniest crevices, and they move very fast, and they just have characteristics, and they hang on the daggone ceiling, which completely, unnerves me, because I think they're going to fall on me and things like that. And for people who are more likely to get up close and personal with these reptiles, to me, the iguanas act like dogs.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the geckos are a little bit annoying, but they actually eat a lot of insects. So it's kind of good to have at least one gecko in your house because, he's eating insects.
Okay, girl.
Or get a cat.
Okay, girl. I got some bug spray. I got fly swatters. Listen, I was in Belize recently and there was a gecko in the room. And I told people, I said, you know what? I finally figured out what is worse than having a gecko in your house. It's having a gecko in your house and you don't know where that thing is. You know what I'm saying? Having a gecko, because it was like the geckos in Belize, they were so shy. They was bashful. They would cluck, 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 make this noise. I'm like, oh my God, it's one in here. But never saw this guy. Whereas in Panama, they're like, hey, what's up? When they are there. I see them before I hear them. So just pray my strength in the Lord with that. I just decided that I wanted a different life and that Panama was going to be my life and that I was not going to allow geckos to keep me from that life. So like I said, just pray my strength in the Lord. I got just a couple more questions for you. When you came in, did you come in, if you don't mind me asking, did you come in as a friendly nation?
Yes. So I wasn't old enough to do the pensionado, not old enough to do the pensionado. And it was another reason why Panama was a good choice for us, because at that time, the friendly nation visa process and requirements were pretty simple.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't get my permanent residency until March of this year.
Oh, congratulations!
So
you made everything happen for you before the changes.
Oh, definitely, because I had heard last year, and actually my attorney contacted me last year and said, look, I'm hearing that they're thinking about changing the Friendly Nation visa. So if you want to get your permanent residency, you need to start thinking about that sooner than later. So he actually brought me,
wow.
And so, I was like, okay, I thought about it. I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and I can do the 6 months in and leave the country process. But I'm like, I don't really want that hassle. And I want to have the freedom to go and stay as long as I want.
Yeah.
So I had already gotten my my Panama corporation right after we purchased a property. So I already had that. And then 6 months later, I got my bank account. So I already had that. So I was really all set to just finish it up, this year. So it worked out fine.
That's wonderful. Tell me, how did you find your attorney? I mean, did somebody refer him or her?
Yes. So the expat that we bought the property from, it was his attorney. So that's how we met the attorney. And so he's done all of our legal work since then, and we have had no problems.
Okay.
Response to emails, response to text, answers your questions, lets you know if there's a problem. James had delayed getting his residency, but he actually went in July and applied, and now he's got his temporary residency. He's just waiting for his permanent to come through, but he got in before the deadline changed as well.
So is this attorney based in David?
He has an office in David and he has an office in Boquete.
Okay. Yeah, you can please give us his information, and I'll share it in the description so that people know that he did a good job for you, and if they're in that area, to definitely look him up. And do you drive in Panama?
I have driven in Panama. It is not my favorite thing to do. I haven't driven in Panama City. So technically I haven't driven in Panama, but I have driven to David and Boquete and to the farm, and they're very aggressive. They're very aggressive, and there's not enough traffic lights, and you need to pay attention.
Yes.
Constantly.
Constantly. And you need to put on your gangster face, and roll with it. I mean, because it is, and like you said, I mean, I drive in my neighborhood sometimes. I don't have my Panama license yet, so I stopped driving because it's actually, once you become a resident, you're supposed to get your license. And so I didn't want to have any, I don't want no issues or anything like that. One more question. Medical. So when you're in Bugaba, what does it look like as far as if you get sick? Are there nearby urgent cares? Are there hospitals? What's that deal? Or do you have to go into David?
Well, there, near my property, there's a very small clinic. And I would say it's a one-room clinic, very basic. But further down the street, there's a slightly bigger hospital.
Oh.
And Bugaba has just finished construction on a brand new hospital in town.
Okay.
So to open, with Panama, you just never know when they're gonna finish things, because they start and you're not sure, but they finished construction of the new hospital, so the expectation is it will be opening up soon.
That's fabulous.
And I have never had to have any medical care in Panama, but James has. And they've given him excellent care every single time. Excellent.
Yes.
So
I had to have medical care, and I same thing. And I went into an urgent care. I ended up having to get a prescription and things like that. And I want to say that I left out of there, and with prescription and everything, it was less than $50. And so a lot of people, I just like to say those kind of things, because a lot of people, like I said, all we know is the US, right? And we know that the US, getting sick. I mean, there are people that are dying of COVID because they didn't know they had underlying conditions, because they are not in a position where they can go to the doctors for things that aren't serious. You know what I'm saying? Just preventive maintenance and things like that. But in Panama, there's so much you can afford to buy just cash. You don't even have to involve your insurance and everything. But that's a good thing to know. I was in Belize recently, and I do tours to different countries. We travel, we connect. My purpose is to take Black people to different countries and allow us to all to connect to the Black culture in those places. And now that I do Black Expats in Panama, when I travel, I see my perspective is so different. I'm looking at the place as a possible relocation. What would it be like as an investment and things like that? And, to learn that one of the most popular places in Belize, Placencia, the hospital is 70 miles away. That's a deal breaker for a lot of people, particularly people of age that may have, health issues and things like that. So absolutely. So, well, when it comes to your Spanish, this is the last question. When it comes to your Spanish, I know you said un poquito. So on a 1 to 10, what do you think?
I think I'm at about a 5. I can go into a store, ask for things, ask questions, particularly if they speak kind of slow and understand what. I don't have to pull out my translator nearly as much as I did 3 years ago, because so that's very good. But as I said, I want to immerse myself and not just be that expat. I want people to feel like I'm in the neighborhood. I'm respecting their culture. I'm using their language as much as I can.
Yes.
Help me not just see gringo price, right?
The gringo price. Lastly, and I'm going to let you go. In parting, so that you can get with Natasha and tell her I said thanks for her patience. What is advice that you would give to gringas and gringos that are thinking about relocating to Panama? Is there like one piece of advice through your experience over the last 2 years that you would give to them?
I would say spend as much time in Panama as you can before you make it a commitment to buying property, because to sell property takes a long time.
Yes, I'm learning that.
So if you're going to buy property, and kind of figure out what type of lifestyle works for you. Boquete is very popular with expats, but Boquete is very cold, or much colder. Boquete can be kind of cliquey. There's elements in Boquete that I just can't appreciate, with my melanin self. I'm just going to say it as correct as I can. Boquete is fun. It's a fun place. It's fun to go there. It's fun to do, snorkeling and what have you. But it's a tourist place. Do you really want to be in a tourist area? Coronado's lovely, but it's expensive. So you have to figure out, what works best for you and your situation, and talk to as many people as you can about Panama. Get everybody's perspective. And understand that it's just a perspective, and not everybody's right, and not everybody's wrong.
And basically that you will have your own. I mean, take it into consideration, but know that you will have your own perspective about things.
And if the last thing I would say is, don't think Panama is as inexpensive as it's advertised.
You know that it's advertised as inexpensive, honestly. I mean, I don't know where people get this idea that you can come to Panama and live in the city or live on a beachfront property and have 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and a pool out back for $400 a month. That may have been true 20 years ago, but that is not the Panama that you're going to find. And one thing, if I can just say this, one thing I was telling my husband about you, I was like, she is so smart. And the other, you're very smart and you're very wise and you are very, very researched. And I think that we need to do our due diligence before we decide to step off into other places. I'm getting ready to make some moves and some transitions. And I'm paying a lot closer attention to things that have just been kind of surface for me, because we need to know what we're doing before we make these moves. And I'm finding some folk in Panama, I think they broke, Zyvonne. I think they broke because they didn't plan accordingly and they didn't really check out what it really costs. Everybody says, and I think, they say you can live in Panama for $2,000 a month. But did they say where you can live in Panama for $2,000 a month?
Right, exactly.
You're not living beachfront in a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath for $2,000 a month. Forget it. Forget about it. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but you probably have to live like a Panamanian. And are you willing to do that?
Yes.
That's the other side.
I know a
Right?
Panamanian that spends $100 a month on rent.
Spends,
Are you ready to make that kind of sacrifice?
Sure.
If you are, then fine.
yeah.
You know, take a relocation tour. But and watch a lot of videos and listen to what people that are already doing it are saying. And I want to say this, and I'm going to let you go. Thank you for being so transparent with us. And the just amazing you that you are. I can't wait for us to meet in Panama. And Lord, if I can get around them iguanas, one day maybe I'll visit Bugaba. Woo, there's some big iguanas, child. Lord of mercy. I'm from Jersey. I never seen a lizard until I was 30 years old. Never.
Oh my.
Never. And I just, it's just my thing. But anyway, tell Natasha and James, huh?
Come on down. We'll stay in touch. Give you a tour, see what's what. Particularly if you come to Boquete, because we're not that far, and Boquete is a little bit more, settled. You don't see iguanas in Boquete normally.
That's true. I am actually going to be making a trip to Boquete very soon. I am working with some hair salon and a concerned citizen, Priscilla, who has a restaurant, and I can't think of the name, to bring Black stylists to Boquete to do natural hair. And it is just a pilot program that is taking off bigly. Okay. It is. And so I'm going to come and meet the people in Boquete and in the salon. I'm going to do that real soon, and I'm going to be spending much more time in Panama. So that is a real possibility that we will get to meet soon. So I appreciate you. Thank you for spending time talking with us, and tell Natasha and James I said thank you for lending you to me.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, right. Thank you, my love. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Zyvonne. And I hope that you enjoyed that conversation, because I did too. And look, full transparency. The wine was a really great idea. She said, hey, can I drink wine? I said, yeah, if I could drink wine, yeah, And I think that she gave us some good perspective. I think that, one of the things that she said is about knowing what it costs to live in Panama. You need to know. And in knowing that, I think that you should consider the Black Expats in Panama cultural relocation tour, baby, because we kind of let you see what it costs to live in different areas. We stick closer to the city, but we'll show you like some beachfront prices, some suburban prices, and also just, city prices to live, and we stay closer to the area. But yes, I think that you definitely need to do your research and make sure that Panama is affordable and that it works for you. And then also to make sure that you know all the rules of engagement in moving to Panama. Bugaba is a place that I hadn't heard about. It sounds a little rural for me, but it might be something that you're interested in. I mean, they were able to go there and buy 20 acres. And so if you're interested in buying a large piece of land and being that close to the Costa Rica border, it is another option for you. So with that said, as always, I told her, I said, we're going to try to do a half an hour, but that never works. So y'all pray my strength in the Lord. But it was good being on and talking to you. I hope that you got a lot out of this interview with Miss Zyvonne, and I hope to see you soon. So this is Charlotte Van Horn, Black Expats in Panama. One glass of wine down. And I'll see y'all later. Hey, listen, love life, take care of yourself, and be safe, okay? And I'll see y'all again soon. Thank you. Thanks for watching.